substitution at aliphatic carbon. This is the chapter number 3 in our syllabus. This particular chapter we have divided into 3 modules. The first module we are going to talk about SN1 reaction. In second module we will be talking about SN2 reaction and SNI type of reactions. And in third module we will be talking about some more aspects of nucleophilic substitution, and we will be talking about what is the difference between SN1 and SN2 reaction. So let us go for the first module. So what we are supposed to understand, what is the objective of this particular chapter or this particular module is we are supposed to learn what is SN1 mechanism. See, you already studied in previous classes about SN1 reaction in very brief, in very short, but now we are going to talk about this SN1 or any nucleophilic substitution reaction in detail. What are the various factors which affect the rate of reaction, how this reaction takes place, what is the stereochemistry of this reaction, and many other things you're going to learn from this. So with this module, at least you'll be able to understand what is nucleophile, what is nucleophilic substitution, what is stereochemistry of SN1, and kinetic study of SN1 reaction, along with what are the different factors which will affect the SN1 rate. So let us understand now, when we talk about any reaction, generally it has some reactant, some reagent, and you get a product. Now there are 4 types of reactions. We know that they are substitution reactions, elimination reactions, addition reactions, and rearrangement reactions. So since we are going to talk about substitution, we'll discuss about it first. Now if I have a reactant, let's say XY, and it reacts with some reagent Z, then there are 2 possibilities. If it is a substitution reaction, it is going to replace some group, either X or Y. If it replaces Y, then I'll get product as XZ, and if it replaces X, then I'll get product as ZY. Both possibilities are there. It depends upon nature of Z, that is reagent. Now Z can be of 2 types. It can be an electrophile or it can be a nucleophile. If an electrophilic Z replaces, then you get an electrophilic substitution product, and over here, say if Z is electrophile, then it is electron deficient, and it will replace Y, and you'll get XZ as a product. And if Z is nucleophilic in nature, then it will be electron rich and it will replace X, and you will get ZY as a nucleophilic substitution product. So for the time being, just understand, substitution means replacing one atom or group of atoms in the reactant so that you get a new product. There are 2 types of substitution reactions. Either we call it as a electrophilic substitution or we will call it as a nucleophilic substitution. This depends upon Z. What is the nature of Z, whether it is electrophilic or whether it is nucleophilic. Now since we are going to talk about nucleophilic substitution, let us understand what is the difference between electrophile and nucleophile. As the name indicates, electrophilic, philic means which get attracted to or which has affinity for electrons means electrophilic, and affinity for nucleus or affinity for positively charged center or affinity for electron deficient center means nucleophilic. So any reagent, if it is electrophilic, means it gets attracted to the electron rich center. That means itself is electron deficient. So any positively charged species or electron deficient species will be called as electrophile, and any negatively charged species which is electron rich or anionic in nature will be called as nucleophile. So we have these 2 types of reagent, electrophile and nucleophile. So just now we spoke that nucleophile is electron rich species. It may have negative charge or it may have some electron donating centers For example, now this is an anion, methoxyanion, cyanide anion, or any halide anion. What you'll find that since they have negative charge, they are electron rich and therefore they are nucleophilic in nature. But there are some neutral molecules like ammonia, like water. How do you know? Or you'll find that ammonia has a nitrogen which has a lone pair of electrons, unshared pair of electrons, which can be donated during the reaction. Since it becomes an electron donor, acts as a nucleophile. Similarly, water has oxygen, which we know that it has two lone pair of electrons, which can be used for during the reaction for donation, and therefore water, ammonia, these species, even though they are not negatively charged, because these lone pair of electrons are present, they are nucleophilic in nature, or we will call them as a nucleophiles. Now, whenever nucleophile takes part in substitution, that reaction will be called as nucleophilic substitution. So, in general, I can represent reaction in this manner. Let us take some general molecule Rx. Now we know that Rx is a polar covalent bond. X carries partial negative charge and R carries partial positive charge. If it reacts with nucleophile, then the nucleophile attacks this R because it is positively charged center, and you get a product where now X is replaced by nucleophile, and therefore we call this as a nucleophilic substitution reaction. Since X has left from the substrate, we call X as a leaving group. So you have a nucleophile, you have a leaving group. Both have negative charge. Both are electron rich, but one is strong, other is weak. Obviously, which will be strong? The one which can form bond and kicks out the leaving group will be stronger as compared to leaving group. So nucleophile is a more electron rich or a strong as compared to leaving group, and therefore we can replace X by nucleophile. Here we have shown the mechanism. In short, if X is a nucleophile, it will donate its electron to the positively charged center over here, A, and then if it tries to form bond with A, then Y has to leave this substrate. So Y becomes a leaving group and you get a product, substitution product over here. Now Y is replaced by X. This is how a general nucleophilic substitution reaction can be represented. So these are the again various ways by which you can represent your nucleophilic substitution reactions. Everywhere we can see that X will be replaced by a nucleophile. A nucleophile can be neutral, electron rich, or it can be negatively charged. And since X is leaving the substrate, we call it as a leaving group. So these are the various examples of nucleophilic substitution reactions. Now you can see here, see all these are carbon to carbon bonds, but here we have carbon to bromine bond. So this is a polar covalent bond, and remaining bonds, that is 1 2, 2 3, 3 4, or 4 5, which are between carbon atoms, they are non-polar covalent bonds. Whenever there is a polarity in the bond, you'll find that there is a separation of charge. The one which is more electronegative will have partial negative charge, and carbon generally will have partial positive charge. So this is a polar covalent bond, and there is an electron deficient center at carbon number 1. So if Cn minus is a nucleophile, it will be attracted to this first number carbon, and then they may react with each other, where now Br will be replaced by Cn and you will get this as a product. So which bond is broken? C1 Br bond is broken and a new bond is formed, but that is between C1 and Cn, that is cyanide group. If I use water, now water has oxygen, which has two lone pairs of electrons and can be used to donate this particular electrons. If that is so, now this is tertiary butyl bromide. Again, you'll find that 1 2, 2 3, 3 4, sorry 2 4, these all are carbon to carbon bonds. They are non-polar covalent bond. But C2 and Br bond is a polar covalent bond because they have electronegativity difference. And you know that Br is more electronegative than carbon, So it carries partial negative charge and carbon will carry partial positive charge. Since there is electron deficient center, the electron rich oxygen will get attracted to this C2 and you will get a product where Br is replaced by OH and HBr becomes a byproduct of this reaction. So again we will call this as a substitution because we have replaced Br by OH. So Br becomes a leaving group. So bond broken in this particular example is C2Br bond is broken and a new bond is formed between C2 and hydroxyl group, that is OH group from water. Let us take another example. Now this was a primary alkyl, this is a tertiary alkyl, and this is a secondary alcohol. Now if this reacts with HCl, then it is found that it undergoes reaction where OH will be replaced by Cl and you get a substitution product. So with these examples, we have understood now that there are two types of bond. One is carbon to leaving group bond, which is generally broken, and a new bond is formed between carbon and nucleophile. In doing so, we replace leaving group by nucleophile. Therefore, we call these reactions as nucleophilic substitution reactions. Now, when we talk about, so some more basic things we are supposed to understand before we go for the mechanism of SN1 reaction. So when we talk about SN1, we know that it is a two-step reaction, and here a carbocation is formed as an intermediate. So let us talk about what is carbocation and what are the different factors which will stabilize the carbocation. As the name indicates, cation means cation always carries positive charge, and carbocation means carbon carrying positive charge. So this becomes an intermediate whenever we carry out SN1 type of reaction. Now all carbocations are of not same type. Depending upon the structure, we can classify them as tertiary, secondary and primary carbocations. What is primary carbocation? So that carbocation, that is carbon which has positive charge, is attached to at least two hydrogen atoms. What is secondary? That a carbon which carries positive charge is attached to one hydrogen. And what is tertiary? It's a carbon which has a positive charge, which has three bonds and is not attached to any hydrogen atom, will be called as tertiary carbocation. All these are sp2 hybridized planar species, and it is observed that tertiary carbocation is the most stable carbocation. If I compare with secondary, secondary is less stable as compared to tertiary, whereas secondary becomes more stable as compared to primary carbocation. Which factor stabilizes? So it is found that we know that R group has a tendency to donate electrons through sigma bond. That is called as an inductive effect, or here we are talking about plus I effect or positive inductive effect, where R becomes electron donor and any electron donating species will stabilize this carbocation. In tertiary carbocation, we have three R groups. In secondary carbocation, we have two R groups, and in primary, there is only one R group. So the inductive effect in primary is the least. And as I go from primary to secondary or secondary to tertiary, this positive inductive effect goes on increasing, and therefore tertiary carbocation becomes the most stable carbocation among these three. Along with that, there's some other type of carbocations can be observed. That is, let us take this example, allylic carbocation. So this particular carbocation is attached to this sp2 carbon atom. Now here the stabilization factor is different. Here the carbocation is stabilized by mesomeric effect. In the previous one, where all sigma bonds were there, inductive effect, that is plus I effect, was the factor which stabilizes the carbocation. Now here mesomeric effect, these pi electrons can be used to stabilize this carbocation. If I shift these pi electrons over here, now double bond will be formed here, and the positive charge will jump from this carbon, alternate carbon, that is, it will come over here. Now this is primary carbocation, whereas this will be a secondary carbocation. So even though these two forms are there, this form will be more stable as compared to this form, because we know secondary has secondary carbocations are more stable as compared to primary carbocation. So because of mesomeric effect, a likely carbocation becomes highly stable. And the third type of carbocation we are talking about, which is stabilized by resonance. For example, we take this benzyl carbocation, highly stable. More the canonical structures, more is the stability of that carbocation. So what you'll find now, this benzene ring becomes an electron donating group and stabilizes positive charge on this particular carbon. It's a primary carbocation, but highly stable because of this resonance. You can see now this pi electrons can be used to stabilize. Double bond will be shifted now from here to here. You get double bond here now, and positive charge will jump from this carbon to this particular position. This position is called as ortho position. Let us indicate it with O, but still it can be stabilized. These pi electrons can be shifted here, and if I shift over here, now double bond will be formed between these two carbon atoms, and positive charge will jump from this to this carbon, that is from ortho to para. So P indicates, let's say, our para carbon atom. One more double bond is there, which can also be used for the stabilization of this carbocation. So what you'll find, if I shift this pi electrons here, now double bond is formed over here, but positive charge will jump from now this para to another ortho position. So it will come over here. So like this, and if I shift again this pi electrons, I'll get this previous structure, the first structure back. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 canonical structures are possible for benzyl carbocation, and therefore among all this, benzyl carbocation is the most stable carbocation. Then comes your allylic carbocation, and then your tertiary carbocation, then secondary carbocation, and then primary carbocation. So in stabilization, resonance has more impact in stabilizing carbocation. Then we have mesomeric effect, and then inductive effect, which will stabilize the carbocations, which are sp2 hybridized, and carbon has positive charge. So these are the various, again, same thing we have represented in a pictorial form to indicate how they are stabilized. So now identify, let us just recap what we have done. Identify the leaving group and nucleophile in each of the reaction. So let's take this first reaction. What you'll find now, that there is replacement of group, and the one which is replaced will be called as a leaving group, and the one which is replacing will be called as a nucleophile. So I want answer from you. I take the another reaction. Observe the reaction where reactants and products, you'll find that one atom or group of atoms is replaced by some other atom or group of atom. The one which is replaced is a leaving group, and the one which is replacing is a nucleophile. So try to find out the nucleophile and the leaving group. As well as we have some molecules, and you're supposed to find out whether which one is primary, secondary, or tertiary alkyl halide, and identify where benzylic or allylic carbocation will be formed from those molecules, as well as talk about their stability, which one will be the most stable. So I'll wait for some time and we'll answer these questions.